Hello, welcome back everybody. Welcome back to the training. I hope we are following. So I want to answer an important question that one of you asked earlier on. And the question is on the second point that was mentioned during the previous session, which was on the objectives of first aid. The point number 2 is that first aid is aimed at preventing further injuries. So remember, there are 3 P's. Number 1 is to preserve life of the patient that you are helping. And then number 2 is to prevent further injury from occurring. And of course, your first aid is also geared at preserving, promoting recovery. So everything you do should be geared at those 3 objectives. But one of you wanted me to throw more light on point number 2, which is preventing further injury from happening. In other words, how does first aid achieve this? How does that happen? How is it that when you provide first aid, you are trying to prevent injury from happening? And that is a very interesting question. Very, very interesting question. And I will actually try to take few minutes to throw more light. Hopefully at the end of the day, that would have been clearer than it was previously. So when you do first aid, you prevent further injury from happening. You prevent further injury. Remember that the patient may have injured himself or herself, from the emergency that happened before you arrive. And so when you arrive as a first aider, you now try to prevent further injury from happening. And for you to understand this concept, this particular objective, you need to know that emergency or even medical condition is not static. It progresses. It can move from level to level to level. So if emergency has placed somebody at level 1, for example, and nothing is done, within some time, the situation may now move to next level. It progresses to next level. So when, for instance, you can actually see a situation, a medical condition like stepwise. It goes up, okay? So this is step 1 here, and then step 2 here, and then it goes all the way, and then it continues. Okay, so the situation can escalate, it can aggravate, it can progress, it can move to next one. So one of the things that first aid intends to accomplish is to prevent this progressive movement of emergency situation or medical condition. So when you provide first aid, you try to do things. Either you prevent it altogether from climbing up to the next one. So you may stop it from climbing from step 1 to step 2. You can prevent that movement altogether. by providing first aid. You can also slow down in a situation where you may not be able to, stop it altogether. You may slow it down, which is also an achievement. So by the time you slow the time, you slow the progression, okay, you are allowing some room for emergency medical team to arrive and take over. So that slowdown is also a big deal. Okay, it's a big deal. Let me give you some example of what I am talking about. Let's take a high fever example. High fever in children. So high fever is a medical condition. For example, if the temperature of a baby is 38 degrees Celsius or more, that is emergency right there. For a child, temperature of 40 degrees Celsius or higher is also a medical emergency there. And this high fever, if not managed properly, can actually move the condition of that patient, that child, to next level, okay, which is what we call febrile seizure, which is considered more serious, okay, a febrile seizure. So usually result from high fever in children. So there's a climb if the fever situation is not managed properly. So what that means now is that when I do first aid on this child who is experiencing high fever, when I provide first aid, my goal is to stop that progression from high fever to febrile seizure, which may be more damaging as a matter of fact. Okay, it can result in many things, including brain injury, that can leave the child in a very, very terrible condition. So what I do here, so by the time I provide first aid, for example, I provide first aid, okay, by giving Tylenol according to the doctor prescription. Of course, I should have authorization to do that, or Advil, okay? You can give the child Tylenol or Advil as prescribed by the doctor. Another thing you can do is to cool the body of the child down with lukewarm water. So lukewarm, never use cold water. So don't use cold water, don't use cold water, no. Use lukewarm water to cool the body down. Okay, and then when you use lukewarm water to do that, there are 3 places you pay more attention: behind the neck of the child, the armpit, and the groin. Those are the 3 areas you pay more attention: behind the neck, the armpits, and the groin. Okay. And again, the third thing you can do, and it is highly recommended, is that you see your family doctor. So see the family doctor because of the fever, right? You don't know for further evaluation to pinpoint where the fever is actually emanating from. So you can see there are many examples, other examples. For instance, when somebody has seizure, okay, a seizure can cause more injury. And that when somebody has seizure, you focus on your priority is to make that place safe. Remove anything, any hazard, anything that is capable of causing more harm, because this person can actually be injured during the seizure time. So your role as a first aider, the objective is to prevent that climbing, that escalation. So that is actually when we say prevent further injury, that is what we mean. So thank you very, very much. I hope I have answered your question and that is clearer now. Thank you and see you next time.